A cold wind slithers through the village of Umueka, rustling the thatched roofs and stirring the dust along the narrow pathways. The once familiar sounds of crickets and night birds are swallowed by an eerie silence. The air itself is thick with anticipation, as if the earth is holding its breath, waiting. At the heart of the village, standing before the great shrine of Amedioha, is an elderly woman, Neka, the last living priestess of the old ways. She is clothed in flowing white robes, her silver-plated hair cascading down her back. The flickering light from the shrine's oil lamps cast strange shadows on her wrinkled face, making her appear both ancient and ageless. Her trembling hands grasp the omu, a sacred palm frond used for divination. Her eyes, once sharp as an eagle's, are now wide with fear as she stares at the sacred drum before her. The drum is massive, carved from the trunk of an iroko tree, its surface stretched with the hide of a beast long extinct. It is the ancestral drum, an artifact of forgotten power. It has not been played for centuries, not since the time of the great spirits. But tonight, it beats. A single, deep thom shakes the shrine, sending ripples through the bowls of palm oil offerings and disturbing the carefully laid kola nuts. Neka gasps, clutching at the beads around her neck. Neka, whispering. The drum. It beats once more. The spirits awaken. The earth beneath her feet trembles slightly, as if the ancestors themselves are shifting in their slumber. Outside, the wind howls louder, rattling the wooden doors of nearby huts. Somewhere in the distance, a child wails in their sleep, sensing the shift in the unseen world. A second thom erupts, this time louder, stronger. The vibrations travel through the shrine, knocking over a carved wooden mask that has been resting against the altar for decades. It falls to the floor with a dull clatter, its once proud visage cracking into two. Neka swallows hard, stepping forward. She reaches out a frail hand towards the drum but hesitates. She knows what this means. The prophecy, long whispered among the elders, is unfolding before her very eyes. The last time this drum was heard, the heavens and the earth nearly tore apart. Another thom. The flame of the shrine's main torch flickers wildly, then extinguishes completely. Darkness engulfs the room. Neka shudders as a presence, something ancient, something powerful, fills the space. She does not need to see it to know it is there. She feels it in her bones, in the way the air has become unbearably thick. Her voice trembles as she mutters a prayer, her lips moving rapidly. Neka. Great ones, is this truly the time? Has the darkness returned? The drum does not answer with words, but with another resounding thom, one so powerful that it sends a gust of wind spiraling through the shrine, knocking down several calabashes filled with offerings. Palm wine spills onto the ground, soaking into the earth like a libation offered by unseen hands. And then, silence. Neka dares to breathe, her heart pounding like the drum itself. Slowly, she turns toward the entrance of the shrine, peering out into the village square. The night is darker than usual, as if the stars themselves have hidden their faces. A group of night watchmen stand frozen, their torches flickering uncertainly. They have heard it too. A young man, barely more than a boy, steps forward hesitantly. He is Ikin, the shrine's apprentice, assigned to watch over the priestess. His breath is ragged, his face drenched in sweat despite the cool night air. Ikin, stammering. Mother. Mother Neka, did you hear that? Neka turns to him, her expression grave. She places a steadying hand on his shoulder, but the weight of the moment makes it impossible to offer comfort. Neka, softly. It has begun. Ikin's eyes widen. He looks toward the shrine, toward the drum that has been silent for longer than anyone in the village has been alive. Ikin, whispering. The old stories, they say when the drum beats, the land will tremble, the spirits will walk, and war will come. Neka does not respond. She does not need to. They both know the prophecy. The return of the drum's voice means one thing: something is coming. Something terrible. A faint rumble echoes through the village, distant but undeniable. The earth quivers beneath their feet. The sky, once clear, is now veiled in rolling storm clouds. A jagged streak of lightning slices across the heavens, illuminating the sacred drum for just a moment. And in that moment, Neka sees it. The carvings on the drum surface, intricate designs of ancient battles and forgotten gods, are moving. The figures shift, as though they are alive, as though they are trying to tell a story that has been waiting centuries to be heard. Neka, shaken, but firm. Gather the elders. The council must know. The drum does not speak without reason. Iki nods hurriedly and dashes off into the night, his feet kicking up the dust as he runs. The watchmen exchange nervous glances before following him, torches flickering as they disappear into the village. Neka remains standing before the shrine, her gaze never leaving the drum. She can feel it pulsing, alive beneath its ancient skin. Her fingers tighten around her beads. She closes her eyes and takes a deep breath. Neka, whispering to the wind. Whoever you are, the one chosen by the drum, may you be ready for what is to come. Thunder rumbles in the distance, low and menacing. The wind picks up again, carrying with it the unmistakable sound of distant drums, echoing, calling, warning. The ancestors are watching. The prophecy has begun. The first golden rays of dawn stretch over the village of Umueka, chasing away the eerie shadows of the night before. The air is filled with the fresh scent of morning dew, blending with the smoky aroma of cooking fires. Birds sing their morning songs, unaware that something has shifted in the balance of the world. In the open village square, the usual rhythm of life begins, women pounding yam in large wooden mortars, children chasing each other barefoot, and traders setting up their stalls. But amidst the morning bustle, there is another sound. A steady, hypnotic drumming. At the foot of an ancient mango tree, Obiora, a young man of about 17, sits on a low wooden stool, his hands moving effortlessly over the taut skin of a small drum. His lean, muscular frame is relaxed, his dark skin glistening with a light sheen of sweat from the rising sun. His eyes are closed, lost in the rhythm he creates. Around him, a small group of young men and women watch, clapping and swaying to the infectious beat. Obiora, your hands move like the wind. The spirits themselves must envy your gift. With those beats, even the ancestors would rise and dance. Obiora smirks but does not open his eyes. His fingers continue their swift, precise movements, each tap and stroke telling a story only he understands. The beat shifts, first playful, then deep and resonant, as though speaking a language lost to time. A young woman, Adana, steps forward, her head scarf tied loosely over her braided hair. She watches him with amused eyes, arms folded. Obiora, when will you use your skills for something greater? At this, Obiora's hands slow, and he finally opens his eyes, a mischievous glint in them. Greater than making the village dance. What could be greater than joy? The group erupts in laughter, but Adana shakes her head, smiling knowingly. Suddenly, a gust of wind rushes through the square, stronger than the morning breeze should be. It rustles the tree branches, sending dry leaves swirling into the air. The drum in Obiora's hands trembles slightly. A few villagers pause in their work, sensing something unusual. Then a voice pierces through the chatter. Obiora. The laughter dies instantly. Heads turn as Neka, the elderly priestess, strides into the square, her white robes flowing behind her. Her face is marked with urgency, her eyes burning with something that sends a chill through those watching. The villagers part for her without question. Obiora straightens, the drum now still in his lap. Mother Neka, you call me. Neka stops before him, breathing slightly heavier than usual. Her aged hands clutch the beads around her neck as she studies him carefully. The time has come. The drum calls you. A murmur ripples through the gathered crowd. The drum. Which drum? Obiora furrows his brows, glancing down at his own instrument. He taps it once, a soft, ordinary sound. The drum. Mother, I play the drum every day. But Neka shakes her head gravely. Not that drum, child. The ancestral drum. It beats once more. The murmurs grow louder. The ancestral drum. The one that had been silent for generations. Impossible. Obiora blinks, searching Neka's face for any sign that this is a trick or some strange test. But her gaze is unwavering. His heartbeat quickens. What does that have to do with me? Neka steps closer, lowering her voice so only he can hear. You are the one it calls. The one destined to awaken its power. Obiora exhales sharply. His grip on a small drum tightens. No, that cannot be. I am just a drummer. I play for joy, for celebration. I am not some chosen one. But before Neka can answer, the air shifts again. The ground beneath them trembles, not violently, but enough for the villagers to feel it in their bones. A few pots tip over. A nervous goat bleats loudly. The wind swirls in an unnatural pattern, carrying a distant sound. A low, deep thom. It seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The villagers freeze. Some clutch their chests, while others whisper hurried prayers. The elders exchange uneasy glances. Obiora's breath catches in his throat. The sound, that beat. He has never played it before, but somehow, his soul recognizes it. His hands instinctively reach for his drum, but before he can touch it, Neka grips his wrist. Her gaze is intense. Do you feel it? Obiora swallows hard. He cannot deny it. It is not just a sound, it is a call. A pull deep within his spirit, as if an unseen hand is reaching across time to him. The drum beats again. Louder this time. The vibration hums in his bones. His hands tremble, not with fear, but with something else. Recognition. Adana, standing close, watches him carefully. She sees something shift in his expression, something she has never seen before. Obiora. I think you must go. Obiora's eyes flicker to her, then back to Neka. His throat is dry. What must I do? Neka exhales, as if she has been waiting for this very question. She reaches into the folds of her robe and pulls out a single white feather, long and pristine. She presses it into Obiora's palm. Come to the shrine before nightfall. The spirits will tell you the rest. Obiora stares at the feather, his mind racing. He has spent his life drumming for joy, for dance, for simple moments. But now the drums speak of something else. Destiny. The villagers remain silent as Neka turns and walks away, her robes flowing like mist. The moment she disappears into the distance, the air stills. The tension loosens its grip. Life returns to normal, but something has changed. Obiora grips the feather, his pulse thundering like the drum he has yet to meet. He does not know what awaits him at the shrine. He does not know why the ancestral drum calls him. But he knows one thing. There is no turning back now. The sun is high over Umueka, but the usual warmth it brings feels different today, distant, veiled, uneasy. A strange tension lingers in the air, noticed even by those who do not understand the events unfolding beneath the surface. At the farthest edge of the village, past the farmlands and the riverbanks where women fetch water, lies a forgotten place. It is a stretch of land avoided by the elders, spoken of in hushed voices. The forest of silent echoes. Few venture here, and those who do return with whispers of shadows that move without bodies, voices that call names from the past. It is a place where time stands still, where the trees do not sway with the wind, where the spirits of the old world linger unseen. But today, something awakens. Deep beneath the soil, something stirs. The once still air thickens, growing heavy as if the sky itself is pressing down on the land. The birds that usually perch on the trees take flight all at once, screeching in frantic terror. In the distance, the river, which has always flowed lazily, begins to ripple, though there is no wind. Then, a sound. Low at first, like a whisper beneath the earth. A deep, guttural rumble, as though the land itself is groaning in protest. Then, crack. A jagged tear splits through the ground at the heart of the forbidden land, dust and debris shooting into the air. The trees lining the area tremble violently, their deep roots struggling against an unseen force. The sky, once a soft blue, darkens unnaturally as thick clouds swirl above, forming a vortex of shadow and wind. The sunlight weakens, swallowed by something ancient, something powerful. And then, from the darkness of the cracked earth, a figure rises. At first, he is nothing but a silhouette, a towering mass of darkness against the dying light. Then, as the dust settles, his form becomes clear. He is Ezedike, the long-forgotten warrior, the one whose name was erased from the songs of the griots. His body is clad in ancient iron armor, rusted but unbroken, his shoulders draped in the tattered remnants of a war cloak from a time before memory. His face is obscured beneath a fearsome mask of polished iron, carved with the expressions of the gods, one side twisted in rage, the other in sorrow. His hands, strong and callous from battles fought in an age of giants, grip a staff of dark energy, pulsating with an ominous glow. At the base of the staff, skulls dangle, whispering secrets of the dead in tongues long lost. His voice, when he speaks, is not a sound, but a vibration, a force that shudders through the trees, through the ground, through the bones of those who hear it. Fools! You have forgotten the old ways. Now, your kingdom will fall. The very air bends at the weight of his words. A gust of wind howls through the land, sending waves rippling through the tall grass. The trees groan, their branches snapping as if bowing before his might. Then, a movement. From the darkness beyond him, figures emerge. Shadows twisted into the shape of warriors, specters from another age. They are clad in remnants of ancient war gear, their eyes hollow, glowing with an eerie light. Some carry broken spears, others hold rusted blades, but all march as one, silent and relentless. They are the lost ones, spirits trapped in Ezedike's grasp, bound to his will. Ezedike steps forward, the weight of his presence suffocating the land. He stretches his hand toward the village in the distance. The ground shakes violently. Back in Umueka, people are going about their day, unaware of the darkness creeping toward them. Children run barefoot through the village square, laughing as they chase each other around stores where traders sell fresh yams, kola nuts, and colorful woven fabrics. Women pound fufu, their rhythmic motions keeping time with the sounds of life. But then, the ground moves. It is not a small tremor, not a passing disturbance. It is deep, powerful, a warning. Pots rattle. Stalls shake. A basket of yams tumbles to the ground, rolling across the dirt road. The villagers freeze. A moment of silence. Then, a scream. A young boy points toward the sky, his voice shaking with terror. The sun. The sun is dying. The people look up, gasping in horror. The bright afternoon sun is no longer shining as it should. It is shrouded in an unnatural eclipse, a swirling darkness that was not there moments ago. Elder Okofor, one of the oldest men in the village, staggers forward, his staff trembling in his grip. His wide, fearful eyes turn toward the distant horizon. No. No, it cannot be. But it is. A black mist creeps over the land like a shadow with a will of its own. It slithers through the trees, curling into homes, pressing against the skin of those who stand frozen in terror. And then, from the darkness, a voice. It is deep. Ancient. Familiar only to those who have lived long enough to remember the old war. Umueka. I have returned. A chill grips the villagers. Some stagger back. Others clutch their children, shielding them. The younger men glance at one another, reaching instinctively for their machetes, their spears. But what use are weapons against a ghost from another time? The mist grows heavier. The temperature drops. The once bustling village square is now silent, save for the sound of the wind howling like a grieving spirit. Then, drums. Not the joyful, playful beats of celebration. Not the rhythmic heart of the people. No. These drums are slow. Ominous. Calling. The ancestral drum, locked away in the shrine for generations, beats on its own. Tomb. The villagers gasp. Tomb. Ezedike chuckles darkly, stepping closer. His ironclad fingers tighten around his staff as he lifts it high. Your gods have abandoned you. Your warriors are gone. Who among you will stand against me? A wave of dread spreads through the crowd. No one steps forward. No one except one. At the far edge of the village square, a young man stands still, his hands clenching at his sides. His breath is ragged, his heart hammering against his ribs. It is Obiora. He does not move at first, but deep inside him, something stirs. A memory, a whisper, a call. The drum's beat echoes in his chest, syncing with his pulse. His eyes rise to meet the darkness. The battle for Umueka has begun. The sky remains veiled in unnatural darkness, a swirling void swallowing the sun's golden glow. The wind carries a strange, whispering voice, a language long forgotten, an echo from the realm of the spirits. In the heart of the village, Obiora stands motionless, his breath uneven, his heart pounding like the drums that now speak to him from beyond the physical world. His fingers tighten around the white feather given to him by the priestess, Neka. It feels warmer than before, pulsing like a living thing. All around him, the villagers remain frozen in fear, their wide eyes darting between him and the looming figure of Ezedike, the warlord of the forgotten age. The warrior's iron mask gleams in the dim light, his tattered cloak billowing as he takes slow, measured steps toward the village square. Behind him, the lost ones, his cursed warriors, stand like shadows with glowing, hollow eyes, waiting for the command to strike. The ground trembles beneath them, responding to their presence. Obiora should be terrified. His hands tremble. His body feels too small, too fragile for the weight of what is coming. And yet, the drum in his soul beats louder, drowning out his fear. Tum. A single beat. The ancestral drum, his drum, calls him. From the edge of the village, Neka emerges, her white robes billowing in the cursed wind. Her eyes burn with urgency as she raises her staff, its tip glowing faintly. The mist swirling around the village recoils from her presence, twisting and riding like a living thing. Obiora. The time is now. The spirits have chosen you. The villagers whisper among themselves, disbelief and fear warring in their hearts. Obiora. Chosen. But he is just a drummer. How can he stand against the spirit of war? Obiora's mind races. He was never meant for battle. He has no sword, no shield, only his hands, his rhythm, his connection to the drum. But something deep within him, something older than fear, pushes him forward. His feet move. One step. Then another. Ezedike tilts his head, watching him with an air of amusement. His voice is a rumbling storm. So, this is what the spirits send me. A boy with empty hands. Obiora's hands are not empty. They have never been. The drum beats again, this time, louder. Tum. His fingers twitch. The pulse of the sound hums in his veins, filling him with something ancient, something untouched by time. Neka gestures, and two of the village warriors rush forward, carrying a drum unlike any other. It is old, older than the oldest elder in the village. Its frame is carved with sacred symbols, its surface stretched tight over the hide of a beast long extinct. It is the ancestral drum. The warriors set it down before Obiora. For a moment, he only stares, the weight of its history pressing upon him. Then, slowly, he kneels. His fingers hover over the surface. The whispers of the spirits grow louder. The shadows around him seem to pause, waiting. Then, he strikes the drum. Tum. The sound is unlike anything the village has ever heard. It does not just vibrate in the air, it ripples through the land itself. The mist recoils sharply, as if burned. The villagers gasp as a shockwave of invisible energy pulses outward. Ezedike staggers back a step. His warriors flinch. The drum speaks. For the first time, Ezedike's amusement vanishes. His hand tightens around his staff, the dark energy crackling violently. You dare challenge me with beats and echoes. He thrusts his staff forward. A surge of black energy erupts from its tip, spiraling toward Obiora like a serpent of shadow. But Obiora does not stop drumming. Tum. 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 The rhythm builds, fast, powerful, unstoppable. Each beat meets Ezedike's dark energy head-on, shattering it before it can reach him. The air trembles with the force of the sound. Obiora's eyes widen as something shifts inside him. He can feel the spirits moving through his fingers, guiding him. His hands are no longer his own. He becomes the rhythm. The villagers watch in awe as a golden globe begins to form around him, pulsing with each beat of the drum. The darkness that once threatened to consume the village starts to retreat. Ezedike snarls, slamming his staff into the ground. The earth shakes violently, cracks spreading in jagged lines beneath their feet. His warriors charge forward, ghostly figures rushing toward Obiora, weapons raised. But Obiora's drumming does not falter. With each beat, the spirits of the past awaken. From the depths of the earth, figures rise. Not the lost ones, but warriors of light, the protectors of the old ways. They shimmer like golden fire, their bodies formed from the energy of the drum song. The battle begins. The village square erupts into chaos. The lost ones, bound to Ezedike's will, clash with the spirit warriors, their weapons clanging in a fight beyond the realm of mortals. The sky flashes between light and dark, as if the gods themselves battle above. Obiora's hands blur over the drum, his rhythm dictating the flow of the fight. When he speeds up, the warriors of light move faster. When he strikes deep, their blows land harder. Ezedike lets out a furious roar, thrusting both hands forward. Dark tendrils of energy snake toward Obiora, seeking to silence the drum. But Neko moves swiftly, raising her staff. A barrier of pure white light forms between Obiora and the warlord's attack, shattering the darkness before it can touch him. Do not stop, Obiora. You are the heartbeat of this battle. Obiora's arms burn. His vision blurs. But he does not stop. He cannot stop. Then, the final beat. With all his strength, he slams his hands against the drum. Toom. A wave of golden energy explodes outward, sweeping across the battlefield. The lost ones cry out, their spectral forms dissolving into dust. Ezedike stumbles, his iron mask cracking down the middle. The warlord lets out a strangled gasp as his form flickers, weakening. His staff crumbles in his grasp, the dark energy fading from his body. He looks at Obiora, and for the first time, there is fear in his eyes. No, it cannot be. A final gust of wind howls through the village. Then, silence. Ezedike's form vanishes. The darkness lifts. The sun shines again. Obiora, drenched in sweat, his body trembling from exhaustion, slowly lifts his gaze. He has done the impossible. He has awakened the power of the drum. The sun returns, its golden light bathing the land once more. The villagers slowly rise, their eyes filled with disbelief and awe. The ancestral warriors fade into the wind, their duty fulfilled. Obiora, drenched in sweat, his body trembling, lifts his gaze. The drum beneath his hands is silent once more. Neko steps forward, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. You have done what no one else could, Obiora. You have awakened the spirit of the drum. He breathes deeply, the weight of his journey settling upon him. He was never meant to be a warrior. But today, he became a legend. The sun rises over Umueka, its golden rays stretching across the land, bathing the village in warmth that had been absent for far too long. The air is fresh, cleansed of the dark mist that once strangled the sky. The villagers stir from the aftermath, moving slowly, as if waking from a long nightmare. The battle is over. But within Obiora's chest, the war still rages. He stands before the ancestral drum, his hands still trembling from the power they wielded. His breath is unsteady, his body sore from the spiritual weight of the battle against Ezedike. The echoes of his own heartbeat still match the rhythm of the final thom that shattered the warlord's cursed spirit. All around him, villagers emerge cautiously from their huts, their faces filled with awe and uncertainty. They watch him not as the simple drummer they once knew, but as the one who defied the darkness and prevailed. Yet, the silence is unsettling. Obiora looks down at his hands, the same hands that had, moments ago, controlled the tide of battle. Now, they feel foreign, like they belong to someone else. A deep, knowing question forms in his mind, what has he become? From the edge of the square, Neko steps forward. The priestess, once a figure of unwavering strength, now walks with slow, deliberate steps, the exhaustion evident in her face. The white robes that once gleamed are now stained with the dust of battle. Her staff, though still glowing faintly, seems weaker, drained. She meets Obiora's gaze, her voice gentle yet firm. Neko. You have done what no other could, Obiora. You have saved Umueka. The villagers murmur in agreement, their hushed voices carrying both admiration and uncertainty. They fear him now. Not in the way they feared Ezedike, but in a way that comes from witnessing something they cannot fully understand. One of the elders, Chioma, a woman wise in years, steps forward hesitantly. Chioma. You summoned the spirits of our ancestors. You commanded them. Her tone is not accusatory, but it is cautious. Reverend. Obiora swallows hard. He wants to deny it, to claim that he was merely a vessel, that the spirits acted on their own. But deep down, he knows the truth. The drum obeyed him. Suddenly, a gust of wind rushes through the village, but it is not an ordinary breeze. It is thick with whispers. The villagers shudder as they feel it, a presence lingering still. The ancestral drum trembles. The moment Obiora touches it, a jolt of energy shoots through his body. His mind is pulled elsewhere, to a realm beyond the waking world. He stands in a vast, endless expanse. The sky swirls with gold and black mist, as if the balance between light and darkness is shifting. In the distance, figures emerge, ethereal beings, their forms shimmering with the essence of the past. They are the ancestors. Their voices blend together, neither condemning nor praising. They speak as one. You have awakened what was meant to stay asleep. Obiora's breath catches. The drum is powerful, but power comes with a price. He takes a hesitant step forward, his voice trembling. I only did what was necessary. Ezedike would have destroyed us all. The voices do not argue. And yet, the drum called to you. And you answered. Obiora clenches his fists. He knows what they mean. He did not merely use the drum, he became part of it. Suddenly, the vision shifts. He sees a glimpse of the future, of himself standing alone, the drum at his side, the world around him changed. He is no longer just a boy. He is something more. Something dangerous. Obiora gasped, his body jerking back to reality. His knees feel weak, his breath ragged. The villagers stare at him, sensing the shift within him. Neko places a firm hand on his shoulder, grounding him. What did they show you? Obiora hesitates, his throat dry. He looks past her, past the villagers, toward the horizon. A path I am not sure I am ready to walk. Neko's gaze sharpens. You are no longer just Obiora, the boy who played the drum. The spirits have chosen you. And their gifts. She gestures toward the drum, still pulsing faintly with energy. Do not come without consequence. Obiora looks down at his hands once more. He can still feel the spirits within him, their whispers just beneath the surface. He wonders if they will ever fade. Or if he has become bound to them forever. A tense silence falls over the square. The villagers exchange glances. Some step forward, hesitant but hopeful. Others stay back, uncertainty in their eyes. Finally, Chioma speaks again. We owe you our lives, Obiora. But what now? It is a question he does not know how to answer. What now? He was never meant to be a warrior. He was never meant to lead. And yet, the drum beats within him still. Neko steps forward, looking at the elders. We must decide. Do we celebrate him as our savior, or do we fear what he may become? The words hang in the air. Obiora looks at them all, searching for an answer in their faces. Then, unexpectedly, a child steps forward. A small girl, no older than 6, approaches Obiora without fear. She looks up at him with wide, innocent eyes, then lifts her hands, tiny hands covered in dust and ash from the battle. She places them over his. For a moment, the whispers in his mind fade. Thank you. It is a simple phrase. And yet, in that moment, it is everything. Obiora kneels, looking into the child's eyes. I only did what I had to do. The little girl nods, then smiles. The villagers watch in silence. Then, slowly, others step forward. One by one, they place their hands over his. A silent understanding passes between them. He is different now. Changed. But he is theirs. Neko watches, her expression unreadable. Then she nods, turning to the elders. The spirits have spoken. The choice is no longer ours, it is his. Obiora looks at the drum. He knows the path before him will not be easy. But for the first time, he is not afraid. He stands, the ancestral drum at his side. The boy who was once just a drummer is gone. In his place stands something greater. A guardian. A legend. A keeper of the ancestral rhythm.